Hello, dear learners. Welcome to Exploring an Understanding of How Research Supports Yoga for Mental Health. Let's set forth on a journey of exploration, gently weaving the threads of research into the fabric of our own knowledge and skills. So, whether you're a therapist, a teacher, or simply a seeker of knowledge, I invite you to embrace these moments with a sense of gentle curiosity and openness. I'm your host, Judy Thompson, and in today's segment we will be exploring the publication Assessing Transgenerational Trauma Transmission, Development and Psychometric Properties of the Historical Intergenerational Trauma Transmission Questionnaire, published March 2024 in the European Journal of Psychotraumatology. Authored by Vera Beeks and Claire J. Stars. Historical intergenerational trauma has been a topic that continues to gain focus and attention. The study published presents an understanding of how trauma affects not just individuals, but entire generations. The study we'll discuss today has developed a new tool, the Historical Intergenerational Trauma Questionnaire. This tool aims to measure both vulnerability and resilience in populations affected by historical trauma. Let's begin with an overview of the study. Researchers' objective was to develop and validate a new tool, named the Historical Intergenerational Trauma Questionnaire. This scale was designed to comprehensively assess both vulnerability and resilience in various populations affected by historical traumas. Historical trauma refers to the cumulative emotional and psychological wounds passed down through generations, often as a result of traumatic events endured by ancestors. These might include war, genocide, colonization, or significant societal upheaval. Despite the recognition of historical trauma's impact, there has been a lack of a universal tool that could measure its multifaceted nature across different population groups. Hence, the Historical Intergenerational Trauma Questionnaire was born out of this necessity. Drawing upon existing population-specific studies and theoretical models, the authors sought to create a comprehensive scale that could be applied universally. The development of this model began with a detailed examination of known mechanisms through which trauma is transmitted across generations. They based their model on both existing literature and empirical data. They conducted their research with 1,104 participants who were offspring of Holocaust survivors. This sample included direct descendants, often referred to as the second generation, and extended to the third generation. This choice of sample allowed the researchers to understand more deeply the nuanced ways trauma impacts descendants over long periods. The Historical Intergenerational Trauma Questionnaire aimed to capture both the vulnerability factors that might predispose individuals to adverse mental health outcomes and the resilience factors that help buffer against these detrimental effects. The scale was organized into 12 distinct factors, which were grouped under 5 broader dimensions. These dimensions include family vulnerability, family resilience, offspring vulnerability, offspring resilience, and historical moral injury. Family vulnerability factors assessed in the Historical Intergenerational Trauma Questionnaire include aspects such as dysregulated communication and trauma-impacted parenting styles. Offspring vulnerability looks into experiences such as heightened responsibility and trauma-related distress. On the other hand, resilience factors identified include both family and individual coping mechanisms, emotional safety, and a strong sense of belonging to the community and family. To ensure that the Historical Intergenerational Trauma Questionnaire was both reliable and valid, the researchers conducted confirmatory factor analyses. These analyses supported their theorized 12-factor solution and demonstrated good psychometric properties, including internal validity and predictive validity. They further confirmed this by comparing the new scale to existing measures of transgenerational trauma, finding strong concurrent validity. Notably, the study also considered current contexts of discrimination and oppression that individuals might face, termed insidious trauma. This is an essential addition as it provides a comprehensive view of how historical experiences mesh with contemporary challenges, creating a layered understanding of trauma. In conclusion, the study represents a pioneering effort to validate the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire as a robust measure of historical intergenerational trauma. Its creation not only bridges a significant gap in trauma research, but also sets the stage for future work in diverse populations. The historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire stands as a valuable tool for researchers and clinicians, helping to understand trauma transmission better and paving the way for targeted, history-informed interventions. The study discovered that the newly developed historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire is both reliable and valid. This scale is groundbreaking in its ability to identify 12 specific factors of trauma. These factors are divided into 4 key dimensions: family vulnerability, family resilience, offspring vulnerability, and offspring resilience. Let's first consider family vulnerability. This dimension encompasses 4 primary factors, which highlight the complexities of how trauma can be transmitted within families. The factors include dysregulated and trauma-related communication, trauma-influenced parenting, fear, and general distress. Dysregulated and trauma-related communication refers to the inconsistent or damaging ways families may discuss or avoid discussing traumatic events. Trauma-influenced parenting describes parenting behaviors that are heavily impacted by the parent's own traumatic experiences, often leading to overprotectiveness or emotional detachment. Fear and general distress capture the pervasive atmosphere of anxiety and unease within the family unit, often passed down from parents to children. Moving on to family resilience, this dimension includes only one factor but is vitally important, as it underscores the strengths that enable families to cope with trauma. This includes a family's ability to foster developmental sensitivity and create emotional safety. Developmental sensitivity means providing age-appropriate information about traumatic events, while emotional safety is about creating a home environment where children feel secure and are encouraged to express their emotions freely. Offspring vulnerability, on the other hand, focuses on 3 key factors. The first is escape, which refers to coping mechanisms that can become maladaptive, such as substance abuse or extreme avoidance behaviors. Heightened responsibility captures how children of trauma survivors often feel an overwhelming need to make up for the past suffering of their family members or community. Lastly, trauma-related distress highlights the direct emotional toll on the offspring, who may experience feelings of helplessness or persistent anxiety linked to the family's traumatic history. In contrast, offspring resilience includes 3 factors that denote the strengths that descendants of trauma survivors may develop. Coping is the ability to manage stress effectively, often by creating a coherent personal narrative about their family's traumatic past. Belonging is the sense of being connected to a community or family, which fosters a strong identity. Values denote the strong guiding principles that descendants may adopt, helping them navigate life in a more grounded and moral manner. Lastly, the dimension of historical moral injury is crucial. It represents the sense of betrayal and injustice that can accompany historical trauma. Descendants often carry a deep-seated anger or mistrust towards certain institutions or groups as a result of perceived betrayals experienced by their ancestors. Together, these factors create a comprehensive model that not only accounts for the vulnerabilities, but also the strengths that can emerge from generational trauma. The historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire has demonstrated good internal, concurrent, and predictive validity. Its ability to predict mental health outcomes like PTSD, complex PTSD, anxiety, and depression, as well as assess resilience, makes it an invaluable tool for both researchers and clinicians. Understanding these 12 factors: 1. Dysregulated and trauma-related communication. 2. Trauma-influenced parenting. 3. Fear. 4. Distress. 5. Family resilience. 6. Escape. 7. Heightened responsibility. 8. Trauma-related distress. 9. Coping. 10. Belonging. 11. Values. And 12. Historical moral injury, offers a more detailed picture of trauma's multifaceted impact, emphasizing that trauma is not just an affliction but also a potential source of resilience. By capturing both sides of this spectrum, the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire enables a more holistic approach to trauma-informed care, allowing for interventions that not only aim to mitigate harm, but also build on inherent strengths. This nuanced understanding is essential for tailored care that addresses both the wounds and the potential for healing within individuals and families affected by generational trauma. Now, let's consider the implications of these findings for mental health. The study's insights are significant in that they may help both clinicians and researchers who are working to create more effective interventions for individuals from diverse backgrounds who have experienced transgenerational trauma. To start with, one of the critical takeaways is the validation of the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire. This tool has shown its reliability and validity in identifying both vulnerability and resilience factors, making it invaluable in assessing the mental health and resilience of individuals affected by historical trauma. By distinguishing between family and offspring vulnerabilities as well as resilience factors, the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire provides a nuanced understanding of the complex dynamics involved in the transgenerational transmission of trauma. Such insights are particularly significant for clinicians who often face the challenge of untangling the intricate web of historical and intergenerational trauma that clients bring into therapy. Traditional mental health assessments might overlook these nuanced layers, focusing instead on immediate symptoms. However, a tool like the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire may allow clinicians to identify both risk and protective factors across generations, leading to more personalized and effective therapeutic interventions. For instance, family vulnerability factors such as dysregulated communication and trauma-related parenting behaviors have been linked to increased mental health issues like PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Recognizing these patterns enables clinicians to address them directly through targeted interventions. Programs that aim to enhance parental emotional regulation, reflective functioning, and secure attachment could be integral in breaking the cycle of trauma transmission. These interventions are supported by research suggesting that improving parents' ability to manage their emotions and communicate effectively can significantly benefit their children's mental health outcomes. Additionally, the study highlights the importance of resilience factors at both the family and offspring levels. Family resilience factors such as developmental sensitivity and emotional safety within the home environment can serve as protective buffers against the negative impact of trauma. Interventions that foster these qualities could greatly help families, particularly those from marginalized communities, who are often the most affected by historical traumas. For offspring, resilience factors like a sense of belonging, strong moral values, and positive coping skills appear to mitigate the adverse effects of trauma. Community programs that bolster these resilience factors could therefore be highly beneficial. Initiatives aimed at restoring cultural identity and community ties, for example, could help individuals develop a stronger sense of self and collective belonging, which in turn fosters resilience. Historical moral injury is another critical area identified by the study. Feelings of betrayal and injustice stemming from historical traumas can have a detrimental impact on mental health. Addressing historical moral injury, both at the individual and collective levels, is essential. For individuals, this might involve therapeutic work focusing on restoring trust and processing feelings of betrayal. At the societal level, actions like reparations and the implementation of protective policies can play a crucial role in addressing historical injustices and preventing their recurrence. Moreover, the study's inclusion of insidious trauma, ongoing experiences of discrimination and oppression, sheds light on the contemporary context in which historical traumas perpetuate. This underscores the need for interventions that not only address historical factors, but also consider current societal conditions that continue to oppress and discriminate against marginalized communities. Anti-racist policies, advocacy, and education are imperative in creating an environment that supports healing and resilience. In summary, The historical intergenerational trauma questionnaires robust framework provides clinicians and researchers with a comprehensive tool to evaluate and address the multifaceted impacts of historical intergenerational trauma. Understanding both the vulnerability and resilience factors at play allows for a more thorough and effective approach to mental health care for those affected by such traumas. In doing so, we can make strides toward breaking the cycle of trauma, fostering resilience, and ultimately supporting better mental health outcomes for future generations. One of the crucial takeaways from the study is the emphasis on specific interventions tailored to address not only vulnerability, but also resilience factors. These interventions span various domains, including family-centered approaches and community-based programs. First and foremost, enhancing parental emotional regulation stands out as a central theme. Parental emotional regulation involves parents learning to manage and understand their own emotional responses, which in turn helps them to be more responsive and supportive to their children's emotional needs. This can significantly reduce the transmission of trauma-related behaviors across generations. Programs such as trauma-informed parenting workshops and therapy sessions focus on equipping parents with the skills to effectively navigate their emotions and subsequently provide a nurturing environment for their children. In parallel, programs designed to foster a sense of belonging and identity within communities play a critical role. These programs aim to create strong community ties, enabling individuals to feel connected and supported. Community centers can introduce cultural and heritage activities that celebrate the resilience and history of affected groups, fostering a sense of pride and belonging among descendants of trauma survivors. For example, storytelling sessions, cultural festivals, and community dialogues provide a platform for sharing experiences and building collective resilience. Educational interventions in schools are equally vital. Implementing curricula that include lessons on historical trauma and resilience can empower young people by helping them understand their heritage and the strength embedded within their communities. Early childhood programs that focus on building emotional intelligence and resilience from a young age can also create a foundation for coping with adverse experiences in later life. Teachers and school counselors trained in trauma-informed practices can provide the necessary support and resources, contributing to a more inclusive and understanding educational environment. In addition, individual therapy and support groups offer personalized approaches to dealing with the manifestations of intergenerational trauma. Cognitive behavioral therapy and other evidence-based practices can help individuals process traumatic experiences and develop coping strategies. Support groups provide a communal space where survivors and their descendants can share their journeys, offering mutual support and fostering a shared sense of recovery and resilience. The study also underscores the importance of addressing historical moral injury, which refers to feelings of betrayal and injustice experienced by trauma survivors and their descendants. Interventions in this area might include advocacy for reparations and the implementation of policies that ensure such traumatic events do not recur. This could involve legal reforms, public acknowledgments, and educational campaigns that highlight the historical injustices faced by these communities. Lastly, clinicians and mental health professionals can make strides to adopt a transgenerational, trauma-informed care approach. This means recognizing the enduring impact of historical trauma and incorporating this awareness into their practice. Training in trauma-informed care can enable professionals to better support affected individuals, acknowledging the multifaceted nature of their experiences. In summary, the study considers the necessity for multifaceted interventions that enhance both parental capabilities and community resilience. By addressing emotional regulation, fostering a sense of belonging, providing educational resources, and acknowledging historical injustices, we can build stronger, more resilient communities capable of overcoming the legacies of trauma. It's crucial to examine the broader impact and consider the directions for future research. The findings from this study underscore the importance of having a reliable and valid tool to measure both vulnerability and resilience in diverse populations affected by historical trauma. The validation of the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire is a significant milestone, and its 12-factor model provides a comprehensive framework for understanding the complex processes of trauma transmission across generations. These insights pave the way for more targeted and effective interventions, offering hope and support to individuals and families navigating the lingering effects of historical trauma. However, as the authors of the study recommend, there is an urgent need for further research to validate this model across different populations. The current study focused primarily on Holocaust survivors' offspring, a group with a unique set of experiences and historical context. To ensure the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaires' broad applicability, future studies must include diverse groups who have experienced varying forms of collective trauma, such as indigenous communities, refugees, and descendants of individuals who have survived other forms of social trauma like slavery or ethnic cleansing. Expanding the research to these groups will help to confirm whether the 12 factors identified in this study, ranging from family and offspring vulnerability to resilience and historical moral injury, resonate similarly across different cultural contexts. It will also shed light on any additional factors that may be uniquely relevant to other populations, thereby enhancing the model's robustness and generalizability. Moreover, the acknowledgement of insidious trauma, which refers to ongoing experiences of discrimination and oppression, as a crucial contextual variable is particularly significant. This aspect highlights the necessity of considering not only historical events, but also contemporary societal conditions that perpetuate trauma. Future research should consider how these ongoing experiences intersect with historical trauma and influence mental health outcomes. In addition to broadening the scope of research populations, there is also a pressing need for longitudinal studies that follow individuals across multiple generations. Such studies would provide invaluable data on the long-term impacts of historical trauma and the effectiveness of interventions designed to break the cycle of trauma transmission. Furthermore, integrating insights from related fields such as epigenetics, neuroscience, integrative approaches, and sociology could enrich an understanding of the mechanisms underpinning transgenerational trauma. Interdisciplinary collaboration will foster a more holistic view of the factors contributing to both vulnerability and resilience, allowing for more nuanced and multifaceted approaches to treatment and support. The validation of the historical intergenerational trauma questionnaire is an important step forward in the field of trauma research. While there is much work to be done to expand and refine this model, the potential for positive impact is immense. By continuing to explore and validate this model across various populations and contexts, we can move closer to a future where the scars of historical trauma are not an enduring legacy, but a testament to the resilience and strength of those who have endured. Thank you to the authors and publisher for all of the research within this important study. Assessing transgenerational trauma transmission, development and psychometric properties of the historical intergenerational trauma transmission questionnaire. For those eager to continue exploring, or for anyone seeking more in-depth information, additional resources and supplementary materials can be accessed within the links provided in the episode description. As we end our time together, remember to embrace and witness the beauty of life and within shared experience. Be the thread that creates compassion and curiosity for others. Thank you for joining me on this journey in learning how research supports yoga and integrative practices for mental health and well-being. May you find and share beauty and peace on your journey toward wellness.